we're accountable to the people we serve. And people of Georgia and people of Talbot County, exercise your due right to be involved in the process.
So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to serve you with a criminal trespass warrant.
Dr. Catrett would like for him to be arrested and taken off campus.
For his mere presence. He's going to be charged because he upset y'all, he disrupted y'all, he refused to leave when asked. I am here to protect the children.
GT's going hot with an updated story about the Talbot County School System. Please make sure to like, share, subscribe to include smashing that notification bell right quick, fast, and in a hurry. Welcome to Talbot County Schools, where education takes a back seat to incompetence, and the budget vanishes better than a dollar store umbrella in a hurricane. The state is investigating them for mismanaging funds. Shocker. That's like investigating McDonald's for selling burgers. Mismanagement is their brand. If money was water, Talbot County would be Flint, Michigan. Someone in the state's board meeting appears to be tired of giving Talbot County chances, and that's about dang time. Now about exercising your rights in Talbot County. Try it sometime. Go to a school board meeting, ask some simple questions about where money went, and boom, you're either trespassed, arrested, or possibly starring in Cops PTA edition. In Talbot County, freedom of speech comes with a side of handcuffs.
Dr. Catrett would like for him to be arrested and taken off campus.
Okay, you're under arrest for disorderly conduct.
Look at this signature. Don't want you on the school grounds anymore. I just need your signature here and date it right there for me.
People of Georgia and people of Talbot County, exercise your due right to be involved in the process. People of Georgia and exercise your due right to be involved in the process. People of Georgia and people of Talbot County, exercise your due right to be involved in the process.
Former Superintendent Catrett. Yeah, he resigned 3 months after getting a journalist arrested. Quitting that fast makes it look like he was speed running corruption. Dude treated the superintendent like a free Netflix trial. Thanks for the chaos. I'm out. Their filing system. Imagine a hamster on Red Bull shredding paper in a wind tunnel. That's about what the county calls records management. And let's not forget Torrance Freeman, the guy in charge of the finances. If incompetence were an Olympic sport, Torrance would have more gold medals than Michael Phelps. Honestly, replace him with a kid running a lemonade stand. At least a kid would know how to make change. Meanwhile, the board wants more time to fix things. More time? Talbot County School fixing themselves is like waiting on Blockbuster to make a comeback. At the end of the day, the students are still stuck in poverty while these leech-like officials treats taxpayer money like an all-you-can-eat buffet. Parasites? No, parasites usually know when to stop feeding. Talbot County Schools, where the motto should be, educating tomorrow's leaders, if we don't get arrested first. Let's play the full portion of the meeting about Talbot County in the state's school board meeting.
We'll move that to the consent agenda. Number 2, Number 2 is also a strategic waiver school system. This is the Talbot County School System strategic waiver contract. This is a request to approve the system contract for Talbot County Schools. As authorized by law, Talbot County Schools requested increased flexibility by identifying waivers that will support its work in improving student performance. In 2024, Talbot County Schools requested a 6-year contract with identified waivers. Based on the system's academic and financial performance, Talbot County Schools was recommended at that time and received a contract at that time for a 1-year term. In 2025, toward the end of its 1-year contract term, Talbot County Schools received a 60-day extension in order to undergo a financial assessment with a reputable accounting and financial services firm. During this extension, Talbot's superintendent resigned, and the system is currently being led by an interim superintendent while they conduct a search for a permanent superintendent. Talbot County Schools is being recommended today for a contract term through June 30th, 2026 to facilitate and support its improvement and to provide a shortened term while the system completes its financial assessment, begins implementation of critical strategies and procedures, and finalizes its search for a superintendent. This recommendation allows the system to utilize the waivers that they requested in their 2024 application. However, there is one exception. They will not be able to utilize their waiver of State Board Rule 160-5-1-.22. They will be required to employ a full-time superintendent to serve as their chief administrator of the school system. If approved, Talbot County's contract will begin October 1st, 2025, and will run through June 30th, 2026.
And I will have comments and questions about this, but I just wanted to say that, you know, we're going to be hand-holding with this system for a while, okay? And so I think that this particular item reflects that commitment we've had up until this point to work with that system through all the difficulties that they've been having. And then I think this reflects that we're voting on our understanding that this is not we'll let you go, that you've got to continue to meet these guidelines. So we're going to be hearing a lot from Talbot County over the next few years. Any questions or comments? Yes.
No, I do. I struggle with this a lot, I have to be honest. They've had a lot of problems, as I understand it, used with their management of funds. And we keep giving them an extension to manage their funds as they wish. And I'm just struggling a little bit with why we continue to do this. And I don't know that they're going to be able to get all their problems solved by next year. So what's the point and what's the purpose of a 1-year extension? I don't, are you planning to revoke their contract next summer if they don't make very much progress? I struggle with the whole point of these things, to be honest.
Well, at current, like I said, we have, they have a independent organization, Mullen Jenkins, actually looking and doing the review. We have been in contact with them. We're getting reports. I think, Russ, that report is not finished out, has it?
Yeah, they published part of it, and they've got to go back and do some paper things.
Yeah, there are some things we're waiting on. I think at this point in time, of course, we're looking at a new superintendent, so we are trying to suggest, look at that. We're looking at the recommendations that are coming out of that audit. Definitely there are some processes that are taking place. There are things that they're going to have to follow based on the recommendations that we are hearing. And I think that at this time, we're working with them to set up the processes so they can be successful. Again, so this does not repeat. Again, I think they are looking at potentially hiring a new superintendent in November, looking at making sure they're hiring the right personnel with that. Russ, I don't know anything you want to add.
Yeah, I think one of the recommendations that, one of the concerns we had in Alderman Jenkins reported was the CFO working 2 jobs, also the CIO, making adjustments.
Yeah, and again, ultimately, that's why we've looked at saying this is why we gave the shortened timeline for this, to say that we get this, we've got to have a new superintendent. Based on all the recommendations, we've got to see progress. Now, at that point, I mean, we're already started into the school year. And I mean, the only option right now is to say you basically revoke all charter privileges and you go back to a traditional school system. Now, is that off the table? No, it's not off the table.
But why wouldn't it, for a system who has mismanaged their money a little bit, why would that not be the best solution? For them to go back to be a traditional school system that has all of the laws and rules that they have to follow. I mean, part of my concern is I grant, understand that you're giving them procedures and things that they have to follow, but it's not part of their contract. So how can you hold it?
Melanie, the interim superintendent is online and could comment on this if necessary. Also, I think that, obviously, we haven't gotten to the point like the Clayton County from a few years ago where the state is going to take over or anything like that. But what we are trying to do is work with the system. And Frank, I mean, it's your area, but we do have the interim superintendent on if he would like to make a comment.
Martha, really quick before that happens, Melanie brought up a very good point, and I wanted to address. It is in this contract that the recommendations from Alden and Jenkins must be implemented in the next 2 months. They also must hire a reputable firm, financial firm, to train the new superintendent. So it is in this contract.
Okay. Frank?
I'd rather hear from the assistant superintendent.
Okay, interim superintendent. Are you there?
I am here. How y'all doing today?
Good.
So we are committed to doing whatever we need to do, get this strategic waiver. We committed to doing whatever we need to do financially as well. We're committed to following the report, the recommendations in the report. We're committed to hiring an outside agency to help us with this report. So we're committed to doing what we need to do to sustain a successful school system and overall to increase our student achievement. So we're definitely committed.
Great, thank you very much. So any other comments or questions? Look, I know this is a difficult situation. Many of us that have been here a while, we've dealt with it several times. I think though that on this, we have to err on the side of giving people another chance, in my view, because of the kids that are involved. That's why. So, yes.
I will say this, they are not off the hook.
They're not off the hook, no.
I think as Christy said, all these recommendations were coming, that's built in their contract. That was one of the things that when we were discussing this, I said, these things have to appear. It has to be a shortened contract so that we don't get into next year, and I think at this point in time, by that time, we'll have a new superintendent, we'll have processes, and I think that, either Talbot will align itself and be productive and produce the outcomes we are looking for, or the next step.
Or at least be on the path to it.
Be on the path to get there, progression, and if not, then, I think we look at, I think everything is on the table, as far as looking at that. We talked at things, but, I think one of the things looking at, with a full-time new superintendent, someone that's coming in with a new set of eyes, but also I think we're giving them the support that he or she will need to be successful. Because obviously
it was frankly rejected with the last one.
Yes,
Okay.
I mean, like I said, we recommend it. And again, I will tell you, Russ' team was in there and in there and in there and in there. We didn't get any results. But with Alden and Jenkins, the things we've looked at, we know there are specific processes. Again, what we've uncovered, and we actually have something that we can recommend, and not just say, well, we know you're financially floundering. Process-wise, you're not doing the job. So I feel comfortable with what we are recommending because it is not long-term, and it will, like I said, we will have some type of resolution during this course of the year. And again, this is still continues to ongoing. There's nothing that says we can't come back and revisit this at any time, that to my knowledge. Like I said, this is an arbitrary date that's set for the future, but as we learn and uncover more, then if we feel that we need to, come back and ask for more, then we will.
Lisa?
What I would like to see is, we've been going through this for a long time with Talbot. I would like to see a update to us, brought forth to us, at least every quarter, So that
Yeah, I think that's fair.
we don't get information a year
Mhm.
from now or 9 months or whatever from now, but we will have some type of progression to see exactly where they are, to give us an opportunity to look at what we may need to do in order to make sure our children get
Well, if we
the,
think about it in that
opportunity.
standpoint from a quarterly, starting from when we approve it, I guess we can add that as an amendment. Could we add that we get a quarterly reporting of how they're doing?
You can certainly add
Okay,
that.
but I mean, that would kind of 3 months from today, that's reasonable, I think that's a reasonable thing to do, because we don't, I mean, I think that we have tried to believe the things they've told us up until now, okay? But we've seen that they haven't done it. And this is a new group of people that has to earn our trust so that we can bring this through and do what's best for the kids. And again, it's your area, so I don't want to take all the time.
But I will say this too. You can expect more updates more frequently than quarterly.
Yes,
I
okay,
said
great.
At least.
Yes.
The citizens of that community have been motivated to, I'm not going to say they forced this change, but for whatever reason, the school board's eyes were open and they chose to make a leadership change. Now, I understand that search is closed. There's quite a few numbers of significantly qualified candidates from outside of Talbot County. I think until they get a leader installed that has an opportunity to really make the changes that they need to make, it will, even though we have been down this road for so long, they are making progress far beyond where they've been the last 2 years by simply seeking to find a new superintendent. They have qualified candidates. Let's give them time to get that candidate chosen by November and give he or she time to make and affect the change that they are. I do think if we do anything different at this point, the students would be the ones that suffer more.
That's
I
right.
agree.
That's
Yes,
right.
Melanie?
So that is my question, is why is it that we're more sure that we're giving them this funding flexibility that hasn't been resulting in the money getting into the classrooms? Why are we sure that that's the best way to help the students as opposed to being a traditional school system where for decades, that is the way the money has gotten to the classroom? And that's where that's just where I'm coming down on this. It's like if the waiver is what everybody says is best, or that's the way to get them on the right path, but that's not the law, that's the waiver. And so I'm kind of just wondering, why is it that why do we think that the best way to get them where they need to be is to continue to give them flexibility from the law and rules
I think
on how
there's
you spend money?
I think there's a couple of reasons, and you can add, is that, first of all, we have already started in a school year. Okay, so making that transition in the middle of a school year is a difficult thing to do, and it will disrupt the students more than what they're being disrupted right now. That's my biggest concern. I have the same concerns you do, because I've been here 2 times previous where we've had to vote on this, okay? And I've tried to give them the ability, but my biggest concern now is for them to have as much ability to teach these students without disrupting systems and processes as we get through to the new superintendent. That's just my thought process on that.
And I would say this, we have significant leadership change coming, and that's what we needed. We
That's
needed
right.
significant leadership change coming. Also, I would say with Malden and Jenkins coming in, with the audit that was performed, we actually have factual information that we can draw from. I think what we have had in the past from Talbot was less than accurate, was less than truthful, and I think in some cases maybe perhaps even misleading. And I think that, I think that those are 2 critical things. Before we can make change, we had to have the right leadership in place. And before we could make the accurate change, we had to have the right facts. And having this outside entity, which again, we pushed for to bring in, was something that was needed. We had to find out what actually was the truth. And to be honest with the report we've got, I feel like we know a lot more. It is something where we can actually create an action plan. They get the new superintendent. We will have a meeting with them. We will look at the processes and prioritize what needs to be taking place and where we move forward. Because if they wish to keep all of, keep the charter system, again, I have no problem with making this a traditional school system again. But, you know, I think let's make the merits, or at least weigh the merits based on the facts and with this new person coming in. I don't necessarily want to, you know, pull the rug out underneath this new leadership, but it has to be kind of guided leadership. But as I said, you will be getting updates to know what is going on, what steps are being taking place, what processes, you know, are now being implemented. Because there was just a lot of mismanagement that was there. Again, not saying it was anything unethical, but I think probably just incompetence that came across.
Thank you.
That comes with leadership.
Thank you. Nick?
I just want to add to that, you know, I know that we, you know, had some significant challenges, but also this goes back to the domains. The school board has a process in this as well, and they need to make sure that they are adhering to the domains, getting the adequate training so that they can be effective accountability for the new leader. And that's all I'll add to that.
They've been absent for the past couple of years in this, their local board has. So, I mean, they have been around and they haven't gotten it under control.
Well, they were getting inaccurate information too,
yeah.
so.
But that's whose fault, I mean, that's some of it, that's on them.
But I would say this to the people of Talbot County, those are elected officials. You have a chance to weigh in and you have a chance to be engaged. And I think that there again is I would say for any of us who are elected officials, you know, we're accountable to the people we serve. And my thing would be in that you need to look at every individual that has been on the board who is serving, and you need to weigh in. And obviously, I think, of course, with Mr. Griffin, I know they've had some various meetings that are out there. There have been meetings that I think that at least have been requested, but the school did not show up to have any transparency up there. So, you know, my point there is that, you know, the people of Georgia and people of Talbot County exercise your due right to be involved in the process and put the right people as you see fit in there.
Okay, well, and I want to thank Mr. Taylor for being here and his team today. Thank you so much. I know this is hard. Sorry, go ahead.
Add that the report from Mullen and Jenkins, I'm not sure.
Can you speak up a little?
The report from Mullen and Jenkins, I'm not sure if everybody's seen it, but once the payroll, which is at the end of the month, gets tested, we'll be able to send it to you. You'll get to see, it's a pretty in-depth internal control analysis. They actually sit down with each of their staff members and go through each section of finance. I think it'll really help the board shed some light on some of the control. They have a lot of controls in place. I think a lot of the issues were around actually using those controls. So
Thank you.
When do we expect that list?
I would expect once they finish that testing, it will come out in the next couple of days. We'll talk about it first.
Once we get it, we can transfer it to you.
Great, thank you very much. Any other comments, questions? Thank you very much. Okay, we'll go on to item 3.